commercial rates issue. I had a guy come into my office on Monday. Guy not much older than me, operating a new business. In one hand, he had a bill for €5,000 for his business, rates bill that came out in January. On the other hand, he had a court order appearing around 3 weeks' time from now, served on him by the County Council on his rates arrears. It's an archaic system. This guy is operating a business, helps kids with autism, helps youth federations. It's a good business. But he's getting screwed because of the actual physical size of the premises that he's operating. We have guys operating IT systems in their attic, making big money. But we've got this archaic system that's penalising guys like this. In 2017, the commercial rate system would bring in £1.5 billion to local government, 34% of the budget. This is a 10% increase in the value collected since 2010. And I saw it in my time in the council. You got to a system whereby we're going to have a shortfall. What do? You put up the rates. And councils get into the mindset of saying, our expenditure is going to be X, our income is Y, there's a shortfall, where do we make it? We put up the rates. It is an archaic system. It's screwing small businesses in this country. We see the issue of valuation being discussed at the moment. I saw on the front of the Westmeath Examiner some weeks ago, 40% of businesses were seeing a rates hike as a result of valuation. Can you address that for me, please, here today, in terms of how this is actually going to be addressed in a substantial way by the department? Because it simply cannot continue. The pressure and the expectation that's being put on business in this country to fund local government.
Thank you, Deputy. Over the last number of years, in terms of rates, local authorities were asked, and pretty much exclusively did respond to a request to keep their annual rate and valuation unchanged. So much of the increase in rates revenue being collected that you can see now in more recent times is down to two things. One, an element of economic buoyancy, but number two, better collection on the part of local authorities. And the performance of local authorities in collecting rates was discussed here in this committee previously. So, as I say, better collections and economic buoyancy rather than increases in the ARV are the major contributing factors there. I mean, you raised the issue of revaluations. I mean, the purpose of a revaluation exercise is to try to ensure that the valuation system is as up to date as possible, and that the rates revenue collected by the local authorities is spread across businesses in the way that it should be. And it's important to note that there is a standard practice that, as part of any revaluation exercise, a local authority does not gain financially out of it. So yes, there absolutely are winners and losers within the process, but there is a rate limitation order system that is applied to ensure that they do not gain in overall terms from a revaluation exercise.
You were just on time now.
I still maintain it is an absolute, and it goes back to our how we view local government, that we are placing this pressure on the small businesses in this country, and that the councillors are forced into a situation because of the terrible lack of central funding. They're the small businesses that are picking up the bill for the provision of services in this country. The ordinary householders have paid a local property tax. They thought they were going to get a better service, and yet the central general purpose grant was taken away, and so nobody ends off any better. In fact, in a lot of instances, worse. And so my final question, then, in respect to that, is actually staff numbers. And given the fact that since 2008, we've seen staff numbers across councils fall off by some 25%, from 37,500 to 28,000. I know my own county, given the 180,000 people that live in the country, per head of population, we have one of the lowest staff ratios in the country, bar none. Can you actually address this in terms of how this is going to be addressed in the coming years of actually providing the staff required for the provision of services? You ask any county council member, ask any member of the general public, in terms of the provision of community facilities, helping in that respect, the staff are simply not there. And if I could have just a general comment on that, please.
Certainly, Deputy. Just to put the figures in context, and you know them well yourself in your own area. But if we just look back to the middle of 2008, when the economy started to decline, the whole-time equivalent numbers across the local authority system were just over 37,000, and they decreased to their lowest point was 26,500. So there was a huge reduction in staff numbers, and I suppose the system did deliver considerable efficiency through a range of initiatives in order to be able to try to continue to deliver the range of services despite all of that. Staff numbers have now started to increase in local authorities, and particularly in the housing area. We have sanctioned a very, very significant number of posts for local authorities in relation to allowing them to support the delivery of their housing programmes. And we have also made provision within the Housing Capital Programme for certain staff costs to be funded through the capital programme as a means of trying to assist them financially.
What's happening within the department in terms of actually expediting the schemes that councils come forward with for housing schemes from concept to design to delivery?